What's up, guys? I'm Uncle Freedom, coming to you on a glorious and well-deserved day off. How's it going? Today, another trip on that Greyman theory. We're going to talk about Greyman travel. And then we're going to wrap this series up with my 10 truths, something you guys that's a lot shorter you can go back and kind of look at and be like, yeah, okay, I couldn't remember what he said, but that's where it's at. Greyman travel. My number one tip for Greyman travel is to do some research, man. If you don't know what being a Greyman is the simple act of showing up somewhere and not sticking out like a sore thumb, not being rememberable at all. You just kind of want to be background noise, right? That's what we're going for. And when we travel, it's more important than ever. So, number one is to do research on the area that you are going and know those areas well enough to know where you shouldn't be going. That should go without saying, but you'd be amazed, right? You go to London, you end up in a bad part of London because you didn't do your research, and well, you become a statistic. So don't do that, because I can promise you, see that predator versus protector kind of argument. If you show up in a place looking like you're completely lost with zero confidence, guess what's going to happen? It's a fact of life. Number two, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. From clothing styles to mannerisms, even simple things. I have been in places with cultures where if you made eye contact with them, it was viewed as aggressive. And they remembered that and they responded to it in kind. Knowing cultures, if you guys ever deployed to the Middle East, you know exactly what I'm talking about, where we don't talk to females, right? Like you can't touch the female, you can't talk to the female because that's their culture. A little bit of research before you get somewhere kind of saves your butt, right? So do some research about where you're going, understand what the Romans do, and do that when you're in Rome. If everybody around you takes a siesta at 1 o'clock and they do absolutely nothing but veg out, then you need to be doing the same thing, because if you're the one thing doing American stuff over here, people are going to pay attention to it. So when in Rome, do as the Romans do. That applies to everything. If you go to a hookah bar, smoke the hookah, because otherwise, why are you in a hookah bar? That kind of stuff. Number three, cameras, man. Cameras are a phenomenal tool. People don't usually find people that are taking pictures weird or threatening of any kind. Sometimes this is a place where if you cannot come off as not a tourist, okay, lean into the tourist aspect of it, because you can make up for a lot of that other stuff where you are viewed as somebody who's paying attention to the surroundings and everything like that. Lean into that side of it. But if you can't do as the Romans do and you know you're going to stick out just because of the nature of where you travel to, a camera is a phenomenal tool. It gets you into places you shouldn't be into. It can keep you into places. It gives you a reason to be somewhere that you may not otherwise have. And that reason for being there could be because you were being followed and you're just trying to give it a minute so that you can get back out and leave. That simple, right? That camera can give you that option. Not to mention, people nowadays don't know whether your camera is auto uploading or streaming. And people that are looking to do bad stuff to people that aren't wanting to have bad stuff happen to them don't want to be broadcast live as they do it. And people have no way of knowing if that's happening with the modern technology we have today. So cameras are an excellent tool, especially when you're traveling, to give you reasons to be places and to kind of dumb down your appearance. If you can't entirely blend in with the surroundings, be a tourist. Just don't be a tourist stuck in their phone. Here's the thing. I also will tell you that seeing somebody on their phone as a tourist, all right, that dude's a tourist. He's playing on his phone and he is oblivious to the world around him. A guy taking pictures, by his very nature of taking pictures, is paying attention to everything around him, which means you cannot get the drop on him. There's a reason behind this stuff, guys. Number four, headphones are a normal and acceptable part of everyday life and society, and they are your friend. Things like this: wireless Bluetooth headphones that have a microphone speaker into them. But something like these are from Anchor Soundcore. These have a transparency mode, as do most of mine that I have now. My Sony ones, my Sennheiser ones, they all have that. And what that transparency mode is a microphone that picks up my outside around me. So when you see a person with headphones on, the immediate thought you have is that guy doesn't want to be messed with. And you avoid talking to them because most people are decent and they don't want to interrupt whatever that person is doing, because clearly he doesn't want to be bothered. He has on headphones. However, if you have the active listening component of a set of headphones, you are not losing SA or situational awareness of anything going on around you. So people tend to leave you alone, and you'll have better awareness rocking a set of headphones with good active listening. That's just a fun tip that I learned years ago, and I have done it ever since when I traveled. Number 5, never, ever, 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 for any reason, travel in flip-flops or sandals. I don't even care if the Greyman thing to do for where you're going is traveling in flip-flops and sandals. Have you ever tried to sprint away from someone in flip-flops? Have you ever been in a fight in flip-flops? How about just tripped and scraped your feet all to crap because you fell down in flip-flops? Dude, flip-flops are terrible footwear choices, right? You are not a female with cute little dainty feet that can make money stepping in mashed potatoes, bro. Nobody wants to see your hairy feet. For the love of God, man. In this world, we're talking about being aware and prepared, right? We are looking at this as a protector mindset. Why would you ever? It's like going to a racetrack with flat tires, right? It is a bad idea all the way around. You may have to run, you may have to fight, and I am much better at running and fighting in a pair of tennis shoes or hiking boots. Just pick your footwear, kind of what's around you. If you're in France or somewhere where the Alps exist and people hike in that area, it is not uncommon to see somebody in nice hiking boots. It's also not uncommon to see somebody in flip-flops, right? Pick your poison. Me personally, there's usually always a closed-toed variant acceptable for wherever I'm going to be. In Alabama, a great example of this, if you're down around the beaches and Gulf Shores and stuff like that, yes, flip-flops are absolutely the normal, but so are Sperry's deck shoes. And I can sprint in some Sperry's deck shoes that are closed-toed. I can move around in them. I can have better traction and better footing. So that little bitty thing right there keeps you from, getting killed because you made bad choices in footwear, man. You wouldn't run around with no tires on your car. Don't run around with shoes that suck, okay? Number 6, we have to strive for and find the balance between vigilance and paranoia. Because here's the thing, vigilance, being aware of your surroundings, really doesn't tip anybody off that you're paying attention to stuff around them. However, and the camera's a great way to do this, right? You're being vigilant with the camera because you're looking for opportunities to take great pictures. However, if you're constantly back to the wall, sector scanning everything you do, and you eye stare everybody that walks by, we call that paranoia. And you know what paranoia does? It gets cops called on you because it's weird. It's known as suspicious activity. Y'all are going to really enjoy this. I've been working this out. I apologize to the Patreon guys. There's videos coming there. A lot of work stuff going on, but one of them's coming up is some Leo truths. And I think it's going to open some people's eyes. It's going to be really fun. Number 7, always travel armed. Always travel armed, but be smart about traveling armed. Here's the thing. If you're an American, you're traveling overseas, you're not carrying a freaking gun, man. You sold that right off when you left the country. But even in America, because most people don't think, Americans don't think about it, we live in a giant country, right? But people in Europe that visit America are really quick to realize, like, holy crap, there's a reason that Americans don't leave America. Because I can go from like the swamps and the weird, hot, sunny beaches of Alabama with almost a completely different language being spoken, and I can show up in the Black Hills of South Dakota and be in these beautiful freaking mountains, right? I can do that in the same freaking country. And I can arm myself and be traveled that way because I'm American. However, I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret from law enforcement. So law enforcement officers travel under something known as LEOSA. If you're a law enforcement officer, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're not, I'm going to fill you in. LEOSA stands for the Law Enforcement Officer Safety Act. That act, passed federal government, federal law, states that I can carry a approved and issued firearm that I would carry for duty on my person in the configuration in which I would carry it. So something like my Glock 45 with a 17-round magazine, an Acro, and an X300, this is completely illegal, which is bullshit, by the way, for people that live in California. However, me as a law enforcement officer, I can carry this without a problem legally in the state of California. But it's a big freaking but, too. When I would travel places like that, I will typically run something smaller like a G48. Now, why, you would ask? I have. Why would you ever do a less American pistol when you can do the full America, right? The reason being is because cops are really poorly informed most of the times about laws. And you would think this was one that they would know really well because it directly applies to their life. You would be wrong. There's a lot of cops that do know, and this will be in that truth thing on Patreon. A lot of cops don't know the law as well as they think they do. There's a lot of stuff cops have to know and have to be able to prioritize in our own brain. But knowing everybody's laws isn't really one of them, which is sad. But then again, if they were as good as law as a lawyer, they would be a lawyer and make a whole lot more money without as much hatred. Somebody has to get paid to get in the middle of your bad decision, okay? So for me, when I would travel carrying Glock 48. Why? Because let's say, even if you didn't cause a problem, let's say I had the firearm secured in the trunk of the car, everything was going well, but I got into a car accident. And during the search incident to towing, which we have to do because we do a tow report and then we inventory the car to show that what was in the car when we took possession of it to tow it. Doing that, and they find this guy in the back seat of my car, I am going to get arrested for a magazine violation. I'm going to catch a felony in California because I was following a law. Like, it's 100%, this is legal, right? I'm following a legal precedent, a law that exists, a federal statute for law enforcement. I'm following it to the T. However, but I'm going to go to jail for it. I almost guarantee it, right? It happens to cops too. But if I had something like a Glock 48 in my trunk, that's a 10-round magazine. If you're traveling through, you're going to face a lot less scrutiny with a 10-round magazine than something like a Glock 48 than you will with like a Glock, 45. So pay attention to that stuff and be smart about how you do it. You may never intend to get into anything, but what was your solution going to be? I already know better to be judged by 12 and carried by 6. I agree with you. However, if you got into a situation and you ended up de-escalating the situation or something bad happened and you exposed the gun, and then all of a sudden the cops show up and now they're talking to you about your gun, which up until that moment was not a problem, but you've got a 17-round magazine in a place where you can only have 15 rounds. And what are they going to do? Depends on the prosecutor. More than likely, they're going to seize your crap and you're going to go to jail for something really freaking stupid. I'm not saying I can't tell you not to abide by laws, but I'm telling you, like, free men don't ask permission, but be smart. 2 thumbs, right? But yeah, no, cops get arrested for this shit too. Happens all the freaking time. In fact, there's an entire class on LEOSA for law enforcement officers so that we understand that we are basically taking our freedom at risk when we travel to places like California or Washington, and we go there with a full-size handgun that we're issued per the actual doctrine and statute. We are not violating the law, but I guarantee you, like, we are all aware of it because you will go to jail. You will become a statistic, and nobody cares that you're a cop. Nobody gives a shit that you have a badge and a law enforcement ID. Nobody gives a shit. You're still going to go to jail. So that's even as a cop, just being honest about it, right? That's what I do. Told you, never lie to you. So number 8, a flashlight in your hand is better than a gun in your pants. Why is that? Because I can't go to jail if I shine this in your face, right? I can't go to jail for it. And a lot of times bad guys, if you go back and watch that low light primer video, leave a link, whichever side it's on. Bad guys, a lot of times they will associate a flashlight, especially if it gets shined in their vicinity and in their direction, as a cop, because cops are pretty much known for shining flashlights at stuff. However, what it does do, even if you're not a cop, is it lets the person that may have had ill will and intentions towards you because you appeared at that time to not have very good situational awareness, and they did not recognize the fact that you were not an easy target. If you hit them in the face with a lot of candela and light, all of a sudden, like, oh man, sorry about that. I saw something, didn't know what it was. My bad, right? But you just let them know what. You are very aware that they are standing there and you are watching them too, because you just shined a light at their face. And maybe they'll make a better decision and not rob people. Probably not, because drugs are drugs and that's what makes people do stupid things. But carrying a light in your hand when it's dark outside is legal everywhere, man. Like, I can shine this in your face. I can do what I need to do. I can apologize to you if I blinded you slightly. My bad, bro. I just seen a shadow and I didn't know what it was. My bad. You'd have done it too, right? Also, if they get hyper aggressive because I shine a light in their face, just shine it back in their face again, right? You take away their ability to process information because they got like the sun in their eyeballs. Do that. That's what it's there for. And I mean, if they got close enough, I could whack you with this. It's a metal stick, right? So there's a flashlight. Woo. Number 9, research the crime areas and types for where it is that you're going to go. If there is a rash of people getting their purses just snatched or their bags cut and then dumped out at a place you're going to visit, might be the time not to carry that bag. Um, if that's what's going on, I remember I had a buddy that was going to visit London, and that was when they were really jacking people to get expensive watches. I'm a watch guy, man. I adore watches. This is my Hamilton khaki 42 millimeter. For those of you that have asked, like, man, you wear a bunch of different watches. Yes, I do. I adore watches. I own a ton of them, from freaking Omega to Seiko. I don't care. I like watches, and if they're cool to me, I wear them. This is my Hamilton khaki 42 millimeter. I love this watch. But people were getting jacked up and robbed because of watches, right? Because people would want to flaunt that wealth, and they would rock out in a freaking AP or, you know, a Patek, and they would be going to these nightclubs in London, and they was damn near getting their arm cut off because they had a very expensive watch. So understanding that, just saying. Number 10, never wear your nicest watch. Trust me, man, I got a GMT watch that's to die for. I would never wear that freaking thing overseas, because I would probably die for wearing it. Even non-watch people recognize certain brands of watches, right? That was the big thing with Dustin Hoffman, and can't remember the movie, but he traded a Rolex to get a ride somewhere. It happens. They have value. Wearing the nicest thing you own because you want to have that image as you try to pick up that, you know, 21-year-old French girl that is far out of your league in a car that you rented, taking her back to a place that you know nothing about. Like, that's how you get jacked up, man. So, like, don't wear the most expensive. You can wear a nice watch, but I would never wear Rolex, my Omega, or anything like that to a place where the high crime, because I'm going to get robbed, because that's just inviting it. Don't invite it. Bonus point number 1, always use a Bluetooth device if you're on the phone. Whether that's a single in-ear piece, whether that's a jawbone, whether that's your headphones with active listening on. Using a Bluetooth device does what? Gives you both these freaking hands back. It also helps your situational awareness, because there's nothing doing this and I'm not impeding anything. I'm not focusing on multiple things. I'm just talking. So always use a Bluetooth device. Also, if you have to call 911 because you're in a problem, you can still talk to them while you do what you need to do. Bonus point number 2, I always carry a bag. I know I just told you people are robbing bags. That's the one time I probably wouldn't, but I always carry a bag. Personally, I like having a bag, but my essential items to life are never in that bag. They're always on my person. I use a very tiered approach to stuff when I travel. What that means is I will have a backpack that will have some miscellaneous stuff in there that I may need, and it's mainly a catch-all as I move throughout my day. Maybe a rain jacket, stuff like that. But on my person, in my front pocket or whatever, I'll have my wallet, and it'll have some stuff. But if I'm traveling really hard, I may have on a money belt underneath my belt that's got like cash and a passport, right? My stuff is tiered out so that even if I dump the wallet, I still have my essential stuff on me. Which another one I learned from a buddy, and I've done it ever since, which is utilize your front pocket for carrying your cash in your wallet, your cash and your cards. It is a lot harder to pickpocket your front wallet than it is your back pocket to steal your crap. And a lot of times I wear a lot of cool pants and Kuiu and Columbia and stuff like that, because I'm an outdoorsman. I hike, I hunt, I do all this stuff. But I will typically wear those pants because, A, they are freaking amazing and they're awesome. I'm wearing cool Renegades right now. They are comfortable. They breathe really well. They are moisture wicking, but they have a small zippered hidden pocket inside of my pocket that allows me to put my ID, my debit card, and my cash, which means even if I lost my wallet, I still have the most important things in a hidden stash pocket. Bonus point number 4, and I do this, I stole this from somebody else, and I've always done it since then, which is always have a secured thumb drive. Have that on your person, on a necklace, something. There's a ton of different ways to do this, but always have that. And on that secured thumb drive, have all of your identifying documents, right? This needs to be encrypted. You don't want it to be like you just plug it in and steal your crap. But have an encrypted thumb drive that requires some level of encryption to get into, but have a scanned copy of your passport, all your identifying documents, stuff, especially if you're going to be traveling overseas, because if they jack your passport and you're stuck in a third world country because you was going to help, it'd be better when you got to the consulate to get your ass back home if you had, if you got to the embassy. It'd be really good if you had all that stuff on a thumb drive that they could actually see to help you get back home again. Bonus point number 5, is understand alternate self-defense options and their downfalls. This is a big subject. But just to name a few, Couboutins, walking sticks, like if you have that, trekking poles, if you're in a hiking place like in France or something like that, a rolled up magazine can be a very formidable weapon when used correctly. A flail, but not always carrying a flail, but maybe a dog leash if you got a dog with you, right? That big metal thing on the end works, or a belt for that example. A flashlight, not just for seeing in the dark, man. I could bop you all day long with this. A collapsible baton, if legal in the place you're going. If not legal, make that decision on your own. Again, free man, you do what you want. Pepper spray and tasers, but do understand that tasers don't always work. Sometimes you just piss them off, and that's coming from a guy that carries one for a living, man. Like sometimes that just makes them mad, and you just made them mad. And depending on what drugs they're on, they may not even realize you tased them. Same thing, pepper spray. Remember this when you produce spicy air against an attacker. If you produce spicy air in a can against an attacker, there's like a 98% chance that you're going to spicy air yourself. Just going to happen, okay? You need to understand that. Which means that all those bad things that you did to the bad guy, right? Like the whole, like he can't see and he can't breathe really well and he's got snot pouring out of his face. That's all happening to you now. And if you were traveling in a place that you didn't have a really good understanding of where you are, well, now you're lost in a place that you can't really breathe all that well and can't see. But by God, you spicy aired that dude. I am not a fan of pepper spray, like at all. Even as a cop, man, like you spray somebody with pepper spray, like don't put their ass in my truck. No, sir. You pepper spray them, you put them in your truck. Like no, I don't. Nah, I am not riding around for the next like 2 weeks till I get it out of my truck with like cayenne pepper flavored air. It's not. No, bad idea. And then I'm going to leave you with this, especially because we're traveling, right? And we are the biggest perpetrators of that. And when I say we, I mean Americans. I get it, man. We're American, right? We're proud to be American. At least we should be, right? We are proud Americans. We always love to tell people how great things are in America most of the time. However, if I am overseas, nobody gives a shit that I'm American. In fact, they resent the fact that I'm American most of the time. They don't like Americans because Americans are entitled. They want to be catered to. I can't tell you how many times I've seen places like France and Italy and Germany and stuff where people go into like a McDonald's because it's the one thing Americans know, get fatter by eating fast food. They go to McDonald's, they show up about to rock their shit, and they're super pissed off because this dude doesn't speak good English on the other side of that counter, forgetting the fact that they're in freaking Germany and he don't got to speak English. You're in his country. You better learn to understand and speak German. It's a courtesy if he can speak your language. We are the biggest culprits of this, and we are detested almost globally for how entitled we are because we're Americans. We somehow feel that we are better and that they should cater to us. That ain't how it works. Usually the biggest offenders of this problem are the same ones that are saying, hey, you want to be in America, speak English and not Spanish. Literally, you're the one telling everybody in every other country that they need to speak English because you don't speak Kraut or whatever the hell it's going to be. I can say that, family's German. All right, so there you go. That's a pet peeve, man. Big time pet. I hate that. So anyway, guys, there you go. There is some tips for traveling. The Greyman concept traveling. Some tips and tricks that can help you stay out of trouble. Hopefully you remain safe in your travels and endeavors, especially as we move out of the end of summer vacation and everybody's doing their last summer vacation and traveling stuff. Is what it is. Guys, I am Uncle Freedom. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. And until next time, I'll see you later.